I'll have a second shooter come, right? I'm like, oh, I need a second shooter for the wedding, right? Like we booked them for the business. And I get self-conscious because I'm like, they might be so unimpressed by how boring I am on wedding day. Like, I'm pretty fun. I love my couples. I go ham on the dance
Yes.
floor, but
I love that
that's
about you.
about it, or at least, but I'm never trying to like, I'll show you a cool shot if I take it, if I think it's nice. There might be four during the day where I'm like, this is a banger, but I'm also excited about like very consistent, boring family formals. And I'm like, mom is going to poop her pants when she sees this photo.
Oh
And
yeah, and that's
yeah,
important.
and I'm like, and again, I was like, I'm not going to win any awards for this. I don't care about this at the creative level, but I care about this like at the legacy level. Like this is the simplest,
Absolutely.
boringest thing.
And that's what's most important. I used to be all up in my own, like, ew, family photos are the worst. Like when I first began
Yeah,
weddings, because that was all ego and saying, like, this is stupid. I don't want to do this. So I didn't really put much effort into them. But as I've gotten older and come into my own mature awareness, I go after mom. I go to mom at that wedding on both sides, and I'm like, Mama, tell me what you want today, because I
mm,
want to give you that photo that you want of your
yeah,
child, because I am a mother. And it's helped me to really see things from the perspective of when my child gets married, if that photographer doesn't come and say, Mom, what's one photograph I can make for you today?
mm,
I will hunt her down. And that's just how that's going to
I love
be,
that.
because it's a huge deal to watch your child grow up and then watch them start their own life. There's an emotional grieving process, even, and on some levels, that's going to come with that. It has to be that way, because I don't see how this thing that's of my flesh and of my blood
Yeah,
leaving my house and going to start their own life is not going to be, is it can be beautiful, but I don't know how it's not going to be painful for me to
mm,
watch. And I would love for someone to honor that side of my life as
yeah.
well. And so I look to mom and I say, Mom, what can I do for you today? Every single time. And also, this is a great tip so you don't get a bad Google review. Because if anyone's going to leave you a Google review, it's going to be a mom for sure.
That is super true. Yeah, I feel like especially over the last like year and a half with COVID and everything, it's like, guys, you better be paying attention to your Google reviews.
Oh, for
And it's,
sure. For
your couples can
sure.
love you, but if mom gets a copy of that contract and she don't like it, you know,
Oh my God. Well, I have that in my contract. I do not speak to parents. That's in my contract.
I love it.
And it's just, I have the language hard, even though I'm really not that
Yeah,
way, because I've had some really weird, I mean, I'm sure we all get into that situation where we wish to God that we hadn't done it. And it's usually involving a controlling
yeah,
parent. And I'm just not doing it. I don't have
mm,
to do it. I'm not going to do it. And I think that nobody should put up with that kind of treatment. So I have that in my, I don't care who pays for it. I consider it a
yeah,
gift. And that's in the contract
yeah.
language.
No, I love that. I think it's one of those things. Yeah, that's a whole other topic of like, why did you put this clause?
Whole other
Yeah, why'd you
topic.
put this clause in your contract?
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, well, I had one wedding
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
I would never. I'd shoot it again, but I would need different boundaries. And here's the
Yeah.
boundary.
Yeah. Yes.
And
Uh-huh.
whatever that is, we're like, oh, that was a weird situation. And I do this with they call it like client experience, but all the time. Like I came back from a shoot last night, right after doing this for 10 years or whatever, and shooting lots of weddings, and I was like, oh, I'm going to change my pre-engagement session email to include a note about this, or whatever. Just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
okay,
It's ever evolving.
yeah,
And that I tell my husband every time, I'm like, my contract just got this, in this year it got another page
of course,
longer,
everybody's did.
because I mean, isn't that true? I mean, not even COVID, but just like the things that you don't think about, and they're so individual
Yeah,
to, each experience
yeah,
that, and but what I do is I have contracts on my site and I just update that one too, just to reflect my own experience, so that photographers who buy it, maybe, I can save them from a
yeah. They can
little
always take it out.
hassle.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You can make it your
Yeah,
own.
no, that's so funny. Yeah, I feel like we had a lawyer on to just talk about contracts and all this kind of stuff, and it's like rescheduling, acknowledgement of COVID
Oh my God.
19, all these other things. But even so, like just I feel like over the last year, if you asked me a year ago if I knew what force majeure is,
Force majeure.
I'd be
Yeah.
like, no, I still don't really know the answer. But
Dude, a force majeure needs its own Instagram page, because there is a lot of information. Somebody needs to
we
start
could
one.
start just wedding photography force majeure or wedding force majeure or something like
Yes.
that.
Yes.
That'd be
Mm-hmm.
really
Mm-hmm.
funny.